the biggest conclave of Indian and Chinese thought leaders. Conflict, cooperation, or competition? What will define India's relationship with China? Can the tiger dance with the dragon? Watch the India Today Global Roundtable live and exclusive on Headlines Today.
Let's now cut across live to the India Today Global Roundtable happening in China.
Leaders will develop a new enhanced agenda for cooperation, and of course the leaders will also address some of the outstanding issues. Now, looking at the themes of the visit, let me mention that we are exploring how do we delineate new steps in closer developmental partnership that was enunciated during President Xi's successful visit to India last September. We are trying to look at how do we develop our relations with China in a manner that would buttress our own developmental priorities and agenda. And you'll see some concrete developments in this regard. I will not give details. Second point I would like to highlight, both sides recognize that the relations between India and China, two large countries, cannot just be conducted from New Delhi and Beijing. So we are developing the theme of sub-regional, sub-national cooperation involving our states and provinces and cities. That's a major focus of this visit. Third aspect is broad basing our engagement in different areas, both bilateral as also regional and multilateral. And you'll see new initiatives ranging from yoga to outer space to skill development to several other areas. Finally, Rahul, let me say that the point you alluded to, we need to look at the simultaneous re-emergence of India and China as two major powers. How do we take it forward? How do we ensure that it remains collaborative in character, that this re-emergence takes place in a mutually supportive manner, with the two countries being mindful of each other's concerns, interests, and aspirations. These are some of the broad themes we'll be developing during the visit. And as I said, we expect a productive and result-oriented visit.
That's quite an exhaustive charter you've laid out for us. One of the broad concerns on both sides of the border is trade. From India's perspective, the yawning trade deficit. From China's perspective, their inability to move as fast as they would like, the bureaucratic logjams which hold back the security concerns, that hold back Chinese investments in India. Let's take it from the Indian perspective first. What do you believe can or should or is being done to try and bridge the trade gap with China? While China is India's largest trading partner, it's mostly a one-way street. How do you intend to fix that?
You have raised a very important issue. Our bilateral trade with China has developed in a very impressive manner. China, as you said, is the largest trading partner. At the same time, we believe that we are still well below the potential that exists. And more importantly, we are concerned about the yawning trade deficit that you referred to, which was as much as $45 billion last year. Both sides acknowledge that this is not sustainable and must be addressed. Our response is not to constrict trade. Our response is to expand, broad base, diversify economic engagement with China. Essentially, we're looking at three elements. One, we are working with Chinese friends to see how do we get better market access for products and services where we have competitive advantage, ranging from IT to pharmaceuticals to farm products to automobile components. Second, we are encouraging two-way investment flows as a major driver of economic engagement between India and China. And here you will see some important developments during Prime Minister's visit. Prime Minister will be meeting with the leading CEOs of China in Shanghai. He'll also be addressing Business Forum, where we hope to sign a fairly large number of business agreements worth several $billion. Third aspect is opening up our economic engagement in new areas like media, for instance, tourism. Whole lot of new sectors are being explored. On the whole, we believe that our economic engagement with China despite the problem of trade deficit we're facing, is on the cusp of a major expansion.
Let me look at this question, sir, from the other point of view. My colleague Anand Krishnan has a story in India Today magazine this week which says that now Kanchipuram saris, also the authentic Rajasthan jewelry which is sold in Jaipur is actually being made in commodity houses in China. And that's quite disturbing for India. So while the Prime Minister, and we'll get Mr. Ram Madhav also to talk about it, while the Prime Minister is laying a lot of emphasis on make in India, it seems with China, it's more about make for India than make in India. How do you intend to change that?
Rahul, when President Xi visited India last September, Prime Minister conveyed a clear message that we welcome Chinese investment in India, particularly in areas like manufacturing and infrastructure segment. After Prime Minister launched his Make in India initiative last September, we have taken Make in India roadshow to about a dozen cities in China. We have interacted extensively with the business community, and the response we are getting is very encouraging. So we believe that investment flows from China into India will increase quite substantially. When President Xi was in India, he mentioned the target of $20 billion over the next 5 years. We'll see an early harvest during Prime Minister's visit.
And sir, is it possible to talk about trade without talking for a moment about the border dispute with China? The 200 or maybe 200,000 ton gorilla in the room. We've had several rounds of special representatives meeting to discuss the border. So far, there's been very little concrete outcome. With two strong leaders in charge, both in Delhi and in Beijing, can people in both countries expect some forward movement on this?
The approach that we have followed over the last several years is that we need to address outstanding issues, including the boundary question. We would like to see an early resolution of the boundary question, there's no doubt about it. But at the same time, we do not let these differences come in the way of the continued development of relations. I think this template has served both sides well. As for boundary question, even while we are trying to achieve the resolution of the boundary question at an early date, most important thing is to ensure that our border areas remain peaceful. Peace and tranquility in border areas is an essential prerequisite for the continued development of relations. And here I can say that we have been quite successful. Our border areas are peaceful. That provides essential basis for moving ahead with developed cooperation in other areas.
Now, the Indian Prime Minister has a very different view on China from other leaders in India. He's not bogged down by the dogma of the past. He recently signed up on Weibo, which is the Chinese Twitter. I was at the Beijing's Communication University speaking to young people. They were tracking him on Weibo. They were quite excited about being able to see what he was saying, and he was speaking in their language. So how much of an impact do you think the persona of Modi, our Prime Minister, has on the dynamic in this relationship?
Prime Minister is quite familiar with China. He has been to China in the past, including as Chief Minister of Gujarat in 2011. Prime Minister uses social media platform to reach out to the people in India and abroad to explain his own initiatives, his own vision, his dreams. Likewise, he wanted to have a direct dialogue with the Chinese friends using Weibo. This is his personal initiative. Prime Minister launched the Weibo account with the first post, "Hello China, Ni Hao Chungo." And I can tell you that within 48 hours, we had more than 9 million hits. His subsequent posts also have been well received. Comments that we are getting from netizens are very positive, very encouraging. So I believe that during his own visit to China, Prime Minister will continue to share with Chinese friends his impressions, his observations of the visit, and I understand that he will continue to use this platform even after the visit.
All right, the Indian ambassador needs to leave because he has to go to Xi'an, where he has to prepare for the Indian Prime Minister's arrival. So we promised him that we'd speak to him first and let him leave. But we do truly appreciate the fact that despite all the pulls and pressures, you were able to squeeze out time, Your Excellency, and join us here at the India Today Global Roundtable. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for accommodating me, even though I'd warned you that I have to leave for Xi'an shortly, so I'll have to leave a little early. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you
I
so
wish
much,
the event
Your
all
Excellency.
success.
Thank you. Now, the gentleman that we have with us here at the India Today Global Roundtable is very well known for audiences in India. But for people here, I must say he's one of the most important leaders in the new modified Bharatiya Janata Party. Looks and tracks foreign affairs very, very closely. So I want to begin by asking you, what explains Prime Minister Modi's view on China? You know, because we've had so many occasions in the past where security and border concerns have always bogged down whatever any political establishment wanted to do. The Prime Minister is looking to go beyond disputes, focus on areas of convergence. You know, what shapes this worldview, and what do you in the political realm believe this visit to China can help achieve, sir?
Rahul, at the outset, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. Let me begin by saying that we all must acknowledge the sincere efforts that both the leaders, the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, and the President of China, President Xi Jinping, both are making towards taking our bilateral relations to a new higher level. You don't need any better proof than the fact that President Xi Jinping chose to visit India within a few months of the installation of our government. It is very rare. As far as I know, the only high-profile visit of a president of China to India happened in 2011 when President Hu Jintao visited India. Premiers used to come, but for the Chinese president, that too an all-powerful leader today in China, like President Xi Jinping, to choose to visit just within 3 months of Mr. Modi becoming the Prime Minister shows that there is an earnest eagerness to connect with the Indian leadership. And see the reciprocal gesture by Prime Minister Modi. You may recall that after the war, the first engagement at the Prime Minister's level happened only in 1988. 4 years after Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister, he decided to visit China. Narasimha Rao took 2 years to come in 93. Prime Minister Vajpayee took 5 years to come here in 2003. Manmohan Singh came in 2008 after 4 years. Prime Minister Modi chose to come in his very first year to China. It shows that the leaders on both sides are seriously attempting to, of course, take the relations to a higher level, but also most importantly to bridge the most important challenge between the two countries, namely the trust deficit. So Prime Minister Modi, in his joint statement with President Xi Jinping in last September, said one very important thing. He said that we both have to be sensitive to each other's challenges and opportunities. That is the bottom line in our relations. We have to be sensitive about the challenges each side faces. It's not just about a border issue. It is very important. You also have talked about the trade deficit. There are many more issues like water sharing, regional security, global security. And all these issues, we have to understand each other's sentiments, each other's sensitivities. That is the key to this relationship. I think, looking at the way both leaders are trying to engage with each other with utmost earnestness, I see great future for India-China relations. And this visit of Prime Minister Modi is going to help take these relations to a more stronger level.
Thank you very much for your opening comments, Mr. Madhavi.